Okay, good morning everyone, or good afternoon everyone, and welcome to another video. In today's video, we're going to be, as usual, on our Mondays, we'll be doing our weekly market outlook. So our weekly market outlook, we tend to look for tradable opportunities for the week, and how we could tend to approach the market. I also tend to take one or two questions from you in terms of if there are certain instruments that you'd like me to do a quick analysis on. While we're talking, you could just simply put your typing them in the chat feature, and I'll probably get back to them shortly. Okay, but first off, let's begin by looking at the economic calendar for the week. The week starting February 13th, we're going to see what are the fundamental metrics to expect right here at forexfactory.com. And you could see for today being Monday, we just have one high impact news, and that's actually from the CHF, that's the Swiss franc. It's actually the CPI report. Actually, it came out already. So it came out at 0.6, came out better than expected. But let's just look through, click on more and see what we have for the week. What are the major financial reports that might be out and that we might want to also pay attention to? Okay, so those key, let's look at them. So as you can see here on Tuesday, we have the CPI report from the dollar. So from the US, you can see we have the CPI reports, high impact news, and the CPI and core CPI reports. So CPI is Consumer Price Index, and it's kind of like a metrics that measures how consumer spending. So if it comes out better than expected, it means consumer have a positive outlook toward the economy, and consumer outlook is actually quite important because, well, the consumers make up the economy basically, right? So pay attention, keep in mind the CPI report. It usually tends to move the market a lot. It's going to come out, it usually comes out on the 13th of every month around 2:30 our time, 2:30 p.m. our time. It's if you're trading the news, if you like to trade the news, well, that's one news you might want to trade. If you don't trade the news per se, but you have positions, or you're looking to get involved in positions, you want to keep that one in mind, as well as it tends to have high implication on the pound, on the dollar and dollar related pairs. And then on Wednesday, we have the Aussie, the Reserve Bank of Australia. The governor would speak, and traders will gauge the sentiments. And then we also have the CPI report from GBP, that's from UK. So keep that one in mind. And then we also have some core retail sales and some manufacturing index report. So you can see high impact report on Tuesday, on Wednesday from the USD. Also, we also have on Thursday the PPI by 2:30 again, and then we also have the Aussie Bank. So basically, the high impact reports we're having for the week are mostly from the US. And then we have the CPI also from the UK, so that's affecting the pound. So you want to keep those in mind. Now let's jump over to the chart. We're not fundamental traders, we are technical traders. We tend to look at price to try and make a decision as to what market is doing. As usual, I always tend to look at the DXY, right? I like to look at the DXY and see, that basically measures the strength of the dollar against the major baskets. Now, some of you might remember, I think it was last week or thereabouts, where we had this discussion, and I made mention of the fact that the DXY is bearish. That means the dollar is weak, and I expect we'll continue to see the dollar weakness, but we might see a strengthening dollar before that weakness. You can see the area I have highlighted here, from this low to this high, anticipating that we could see price come back all the way up here before we see that movement down. So basically, a movement as such where price finds its way up here before we find a reason to go short all the way down here. Now, overall, I anticipate we could see price drop down even into zones like this. So that's quite interesting and one to keep in mind. And what does this mean? Well, it means, I'm expecting dollar weakness. Basically. However, we might see a little bit of strength before that weakness. If the DXY, if the dollar wants to really push up before coming down. Now, if you pull your Fibonacci, you could see that there is also a chance that we could also begin to retrace from here. That's not out of the question. Meaning, what I mean is, price could very well decide that it has made all the move all the retracement it wants to do and begin to pull away from here. But I'd like to see confirmation to that. Now let's jump over to Euro USD and see so Euro USD and see the outlook on that. Now, similar to the DXY, like I always tend to mention, the DXY is inversely proportional to Euro USD because dollar in this case is the quote currency. So a strong dollar means that Euro USD will be dropping. A weak dollar means Euro USD will be rising. Right? You could see that the DXY from last week is, risen, rose a little bit. And then we're seeing that inverse proportionality here with the USD as it drops a little bit, but it's still in the structure. Based on the structure of the market is still bullish. Now, for the dollar, similar to the DXY, I also have an area I'm interested in looking for buy opportunity. If price were to find its way down here, I can even refine that zone a little, and let's look at the 4-hour time frame here, and even make that something like so, right? So there's a good chance, or at least I'm expecting, that we could continue to see this price drop into this red area here. But that doesn't mean that it's a guarantee. Price could very well begin to go up, which is why you could see that I have this counter trend line here. I'm actually watching to see if I could get an opportunity to buy from here, because there's no guarantee. What you want when it comes to trading, you want to approach the market in such a way that there's no guarantee as to what price will do. What I know is I'm anticipating price to come back up here. Whether price decides to go down first before going up, or if price decides to begin to go up without having to come down first, mine is to look for a tradable opportunity, manage my risk properly, and give myself the best potential opportunity to trade. So for the week, two things. One, I'm looking to see if price drops down to around the 1.0550. So 1.0550 area is an area I'll begin to look for buy opportunity. And within that region, between 1.0550 and 1.0490, I would actually be looking for, 1.0480, I'd actually be looking for buy opportunity within this red zone, right? And if I find an opportunity, I'll get involved with the buy. My stop loss would be just below that structure, and I'll be going after this high. So something of this nature. But remember, I'm not placing a pending order, right? I'm not placing a pending buy or anything of the nature. I want to see price get into that region. And then when it does, so let's say price begins to react and let's say gets into something like this, I would watch for confirmation here. It could be, remember I taught you confirmation in one of the last training videos I have. Depending on what you trade, it could be structural break, it could be counter trend line move, it could be Wyckoff, it could be anything. It could even be price action candlestick. And let's say you have some sort of a bullish pin bar, as we have from here, or a bullish engulfing. That could be your reason or your confirmation to get involved with the long, right? The reason for confirmation, it gives you an idea as to where your stop loss should be, right? So I'm either looking for price to drop down here and then push back up, or price could very well begin to push back up, which is why you see I have this on a smaller time frame. I'm looking for a different type of setup. We break above that and I try and trade this up. Now, here's one thing that I also want to point out for you to keep in mind is the fact that, remember, notice that when we look at the fundamental reports for the week, there are a lot of high impact news on the dollar. So those high impact news could have an implication on how the market reacts. One way is we could see price maybe begin to break up like this, right? And then the news comes out, price comes back down, taps here and begins to go back up, right? So which is why you want to, you want to keep in mind those high impact news, as they may very well mess up your trade, right? So from a technical point of view, you might get a very good trade setup within here. Price breaks, you find confirmation and begins to move. Then the news comes out only for price to flush down and maybe goes back up, or it could very well flush down. Maybe the news comes out very strong for the dollar and then the market totally negates this uptrend and begins to go down, at least on this time frame. So you want to keep those in mind. But personally, I'm looking for, so let me show you what that trend line looks like. On the 1 hour chart, you can see it here, right? So this is the 1 hour chart. We are currently around the 61, I think 61.8 fib level, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, no, 61.8 fib retracement area, that's where we are, at least based on the high to low. And if we break above this area, so what I'm watching for is I want to see price I'm looking for confirmation in this time, form of break above this trend line, probably a retest, and I'll use that as a reason to enter and try and take price up. Now, obviously, I'll be managing my position based on my own style. So if you're looking to get involved in a trade, that's one to pay attention to. If we break above here, this could be a day trade opportunity where you could look to try the move. Now, for as per day trading, you could very well look for a setup, something like so, where if price were to break, let's say you find confirmation, so price breaks out and confirm that area, you could have a trade such like this, where you're targeting this recent high. You could let some of your positions run to this high or this high, but you definitely want to be taking partial profits, or at least adjusting, moving your stop loss to break even once you get involved in a trade. So that's EURUSD. Somebody typed in GBPUSD. So let's look at GBPUSD and see what we can spot in terms of the market. Now, similar to EURUSD, you could see a very similar setup. You could also see that same trend line structure. But remember, similar to USD as well, the EURUSD is also affected by the news. So keep that one in mind. And now this is the 1 hour time frame. This was a trade setup that I got involved some time ago. Very nice trade. Well, let's take this off. Okay, actually got involved based on this area. I had 2 failed trades here and got 1 very nice trade setup from here. Now back to, let me go up to the daily time frame here. Now, similar to the EURUSD, the market is bullish, at least since making this low here. Price has broken out of trend line. Let me even take this away, and has been making higher highs and higher lows. Now, unlike EURUSD, the market has not made a new high, right? EURUSD made is coming up for making a new higher high, right? This one is yet to make that. So, and you could see the retracement on this one is even much deeper. So I kind of like the idea of looking for a buy, but keep in mind, we have, kind of like a key news in terms on Tuesday, also on Wednesday, I think the CPI report. So keep those in mind. But this area here is also another interesting one where personally I'll be looking to see if I can get a confirmation to buy from the trend line break and confirm that entry. Otherwise, price could very well pass its way down, come into this region, and if I find confirmation, I could look to buy and take it back to these highs, following the overall trend of this market, right? Of the most recent trend in the market, which is actually quite bullish. But keep in mind, I will be paying, even if I get into a trade and if I'm in profit and the CPI is coming out, I might look to close partial profit or close full profit, or manage my position because I don't want to get in the crossfires of the news volatility. So that's GBPUSD, and the way I'll be looking to play it out is the 1 hour trend line similar to EURUSD, where if you look for a breakout of here, that could serve as an influential area to look to buy and take it back up. Okay, now let's also look at gold, which is XAUUSD, which is, so I talked about this one for a while. I think last week where I was saying I'm still looking for opportunities to sell this one. However, I want to see if I could get an opportunity to sell from around here. So the price gets to this area I want to sell, or gets to this area I want to sell. I also mentioned the fact that there's no guarantee price will do that, like I always keep telling you. Price could very well continue to break down. Now, what you would notice is it appears that we have broken down again. So very likely, if price begins to go up again, it might not respect those other blocks like we've highlighted. You can see we've broken down here. So we're looking at probably a new structure. Now, let me see what the daily chart here looks like. Okay. So let's, I know it's a lot of, okay. So on the daily time frame, we've actually not broken. It's just displacement. We've not broken lower. So I think it's still very much on the card that price would come back here before going down, or maybe up here before going down. So, which is actually why on a smaller time frame, now this is a call count. And when you get to the point where you can begin to counter trend trades, but that, let's say you're scalping it, or you're day trading it, or intraday trading it, you might look for opportunities that way. So I'm still looking for sell opportunity from here, but I also looked for a potential buy opportunity because of structural shifts here. Let me show you what that looks like. So we broke below this low. You see how price formed liquidity here. We broke below it and then broke back above it. and this is the real high. However, I am, I got involved. I'm actually still on this trade, looking to buy. Stop loss just below here, and I'm still looking to take price back to this area. So you could look to get involved in this one. Let me see if I can get you a good entry and or something to. So I'm in this trade. I'm still in this trade. It's did it hit my stop loss? No, it hasn't gotten down to my stop loss area. So fair play was still sitting on this one. Now, what you can look for is this. Let me see. I can't spot any structure, any much structural shifts. Let's see. Okay, so basically it means this high here, you want to maybe set chart alarm. If price comes above this high, you might probably set a buy stop or something, or look for confirmation. So if price breaks above, so this is the 3-minute time frame, right? So, if you don't have 10-minute time frame, you can look up 2-minute and 1-minute time frame or 5-minute time frame. Another option would be to, if you are a little bit aggressive, maybe look for price to come back down here, previous area like so, and then look to buy and take it up. Now, in whatever case you choose, let's say you choose this or that, your stop loss should be just below here, and then your target should be much, should be obviously you'll be looking to manage your position, but you want to be looking to take price to recent highs. So gold, I'm looking for buys. This is in terms of risk to reward, this is 1:6. Let's call it 6.5. If you remove commissions and spread, let's say 1:5 or 1:5.5 or 1:6. If you get involved in a trade, it could be a very nice potential opportunity. Remember, if gold is to go up, it means the dollar gets weak. So if EURUSD goes up because the dollar is weak, probably expect gold to go up. Now, this could happen today and tomorrow before CPI, and then CPI flush everything down, which is why you might want to, if you get in positions, you want to manage your positions as the price move and then pay attention to those high impact. So gold, I'm looking for sell on the long term. On the short term, I'm trying to see if I can get involved in a buy before a sell, while still paying attention to when price actually negates the entire and negate the previous structure. So for example, if price closes below this low, so I don't mean you can see these two candles here, the market came down below it and then pushed back up. I'm saying if market closes below this low here, then I might, it means I'll probably forget about these two areas here, or at least not pay so much attention to them, because if price begins to come back up, it might run them as liquidity instead of actual order blocks to respect on the way down. Okay, so that is the way my outlook on these three pairs. So that's we've looked at EURUSD, the DXY, GBPUSD, gold. Now let's also look at some more. Remember, if you want me to look at any particular instruments, just quickly type that in the chat box. Because remember, I don't do so many analyses on today's class because I reserve those all the trade analysis, all the analysis of most currency pairs for our cutting edge class, which is for clients who have funded their account, and those happen on Tuesdays and on Wednesdays. So keep that in mind. Okay. Aussie CAD, I'm looking to sell on this one. Just quite not quite yet gotten the setup that I'd like. So probably come back to this one in the future. Now let's see CHF, because we had CHF reports today. Let's see the CHFJPY and see what that looks like. Okay, and then we'll look at USD CAD, and then we'll call it a day. So CHFJPY, you can see the news came out better for CHF. CHF is looking stronger, aggressively bullish today. This is the daily chart, and yeah, this is not terrible. You could see, so basically this is the low down here. Let me see if I could draw. So this is the low down here that caused this high, and all of this movement here is just basically noise, right? So there's a good chance price has come down and tapped on the last area or the last point of supply, and it's beginning to go up, and most likely will come back up here. So let's see if we can look for opportunities to get ourselves involved in this one, and how we might probably look to approach it, right? Now, so let me just get my rectangle to, so this would be my structure, and this area here, the week down here could be okay. So let's see. Let's go down to the 15-minute time frame. If I start in and begin to move up, yeah, so that'd been a very nice trade setup because the market actually did react. Okay, so basically we're still looking for buying opportunities. So where could we find one? Owing to the fact that we missed the best area to get involved with confirmation. Now, where could we find? Now, again, you can see that we have recently broken at least on this time frame, this high here. Okay, so that means, this is now our area of interest, right? Now, this could go up a little bit, that's fine. But that's our area of interest. And then we could watch for something like this. So if price drops down to this region like so, or this region like so, I would I'll be comfortably looking for buying opportunity within this region. So if price were to drop down, it might go up a little bit, but then begins to drop down into this region. Watch for confirmation here. If it doesn't respect there and comes down here, maybe watch for confirmation here and then use that as a reason to buy. Targeting just that recent high, and then overall you target the higher time frame structure, which would be all the way up here. All the way up here like so. But that will be based on the markets gives us a good possible entry, because I actually quite like this one for a buy trade setup. You know what? I'm going to let me put the chart along here. Okay, so yeah, I like this one. Now, finally, let's look at USD CAD. Look at the daily charts. Okay, I don't think there's much to see here. I sent out a trade on the Telegram channel for clients. I'm sure most of you saw that trade. This was the trade. Multiple times the markets came back to our area, but never got to the area. Those of you on the Telegram channel, I'm sure you should remember this trade. I sent this out while price was still around here, something like that. And we're looking for opportunities to sell. If price gets here, stop loss just above here. If price has still not gotten either stop loss and then price is still breaking down. So I'm still looking for sell. Target is still down here. Still looking for sales on this one. Actually, currently now you could even look to see if price comes back up here and look for another sell. So if you're in the sell, hold on to it. Probably at this point you might want to close partial position and move your stop loss to break even, or at least move your stop loss here. Otherwise, you might look, if you're not in the position, you could look to re-enter with a sell. If price comes back up around 1.3440 area, 1.3440 area, you can look for a sell around there. Keep your stop loss just within that structure, or at least 1.3475. Now, that would be the aggressive way. 1.7475, you could target 1.3259 or 1.3260. Okay, so that kind of setup would not be out of place, and it's actually quite, basically it makes sense when you look at the structure or the way the market has been reacting, right? And patient in trading is one thing you also want to have. Understanding that you're not going to get into all the trades. Sometimes your analysis is spot on, but the market doesn't get to your area and then begins to move the way you wanted it to do. That doesn't mean you did something wrong. That doesn't mean you should throw away waiting for confirmation. It just means that it's part of those systems or those times where if you're selling something, all the customers are not going to come to your shop. That's the way you need to trade. But when they come, you want to make sure that you close the sale. That's the way you want to approach it. Okay, so I think we've been talking for about 30 minutes now, and we have looked at a number of instruments from the DXY to EURUSD to GBPUSD to USD CAD, Aussie CAD. I think we looked at that a bit. And then we also looked at Swiss yen, some of the best setups, USD JP, USD, EURUSD, watching for a trend line break, same as GBPUSD, those could offer us opportunity. But CHFJPY looks very prime, looking at the fact that we had very positive CPI reports from the Swiss franc, and that could, serve as catalyst as we just broken structure on the 1 hour time frame and even on the smaller time frame. We're broken structure and we're pushing higher, so that could give us a very good entry area to then take price to the higher time frame target region. Okay, so thank you very much for joining on this class or for this session. If you enjoyed the video and you're watching from the YouTube, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, as that's very well appreciated. And then if you're watching, if you're joining me live on this class, also feel free to leave questions or feedbacks or comments so that we can just work on those together. Okay, so thank you everyone for joining in, and that will be it for the class for today. I'll take your questions.